On today's show, we talk about court ruling that states public schools can actually force LGBTQRSTVWXYZ ideology on kids, even though parents say not to. Yeah, disturbing. Also in the news, we have whistleblowers filing a motion to intervene in Hunter Biden's lawsuit against the IRS. All of that and more on today's episode.
Facts over tracks, this and that, spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas, think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past.
So, digging right in, we actually have an article from the Federalist. We have court rules that schools can actually force LGBT ideology on kids against parents' religious objections. In a growing environment of left-wing activism in schools, especially related to LGBTQRSTVWXYZ ideology, parents who have not been able to influence curriculum have had the option of opting their kids out of classes. Not any longer, at least according to a federal appeals court in Maryland, where a case of 3 families suing for the right to religious freedom in their elementary school-aged children in public schools. In August of 2023, 3 families, 1 Muslim, 1 Christian, and 1 Jewish, brought a case against the Montgomery County Board of Education for a recent policy change removing the opt-out option for a curriculum. Previously, parents received advance notice of materials that would be read to their children and could opt out. The school board announced that parents would no longer receive advanced notice of materials and that they would no longer opt out of readings or lessons. They could no longer do this. So now they're not giving the option to the parents to actually allow their kids to learn what they think that they should learn. Instead, they're just saying as a school, well, we're just going to teach your kids whatever the heck that we want to teach them. And if you don't like it, then oh well. If you don't like it, then you don't like it. So that's not how this should be. This should only apply to things that are needed, like English, social studies, stuff like that. That's what it should be used for, the forcing of teaching materials, because it's something that you would actually need for the real world. So if you do not learn this, then you're going to be behind everybody else in your grade level. That's how it should be. Like, that would be the only exception to this rule. Should be only allowed for those certain objects and those certain lessons because of the things that you're going to need for the real world, but not things like this. Things like this you don't need for the real world. You don't need to know about all of the stupid stuff that they want to teach you. So it doesn't really matter if you know it or you don't know it. That's the thing here. They should allow the parents to know what their kids are learning in schools like they did all this time. If they did all of this, the alerting of telling the parents like, oh, this is what you're going to learn in today's schools, before there was even this much technology at the hands of teachers, then it's even easier. They could even sign up for an alert and then they would be automatically notified. It's so easy now. So it's not even like, oh no, teachers just don't have time for this. Well, teachers had time to print out a letter and send it to the parents back then. It's like, it's common sense here. Now we're using computers. You could get an email in about 2.5 seconds. Just send an email to the parents saying this and that and this. Like you could write one sentence. This is your alert. We're going to be learning something in school. Email me back if you are interested in learning about something that we find age appropriate. And if you want to learn more about this age appropriate content, please email me back, whatever. And then you could sign up for an auto email. So as soon as you receive that, then you could send the parents the lesson plan, and if they accept the lesson plan, then they can go forward. If they don't, then you should have another lesson plan set up. Most of the time, these lesson plans are already structured for these teachers. So it's so easy for teachers to just choose another lesson plan instead of this one. They don't need to do an indoctrination filled lesson plan just to teach children mathematics or English language or social studies or science. You don't need to do that. Just be normal. That's all we're asking you to do. With that being said, we do have another article from the Federalist. We have NBC News, New York Times, and both of them replay Russia hoax for the 2024 election. So moving right in. As Joe Biden's presidency fails and his 2024 campaign fathers, the media and other Democrats are hitting the big red panic button and bringing back their Russia collusion hoax for another spin. Joe Sagbar, the MSNBC host who sets Democrats' talking points, spent last week claiming that Biden's 2024 troubles aren't due to his unpopular policies or a lack of mental acuity, but rather a secret and nefarious Russian plot to help Donald Trump win the election. Yeah, this is just stupid. This is 2016 all over again. And you know what? There was absolutely no evidence of any collusion in 2016 from Russia to help Donald Trump win in his election. Just did not make any sense. Democrats' ability to push their Russian hoax 2.0 is hampered by the previous Russia collusion hoax that they peddled in 2016 through 2019. That lie was exhaustively and painstakingly debunked, I mean. But Scarborough has bitterly clung to it, and he wants to rewrite history. Quote, one of the maddening things you'll see out there, people talking about the Russian hoax. They keep talking about the Russia hoax, Scarborough said, calling out the Wall Street Journal for its reporting against the Russia collusion hoax. Russian disinformation is being spread on the House floor by Republican members. Here we have more reporting of what has never really stopped. That is, Vladimir Putin and Russia are trying to help Donald Trump get elected again. Hoax? There is no hoax, he shouted. Yeah, because where's the evidence for this? That means it's a hoax. The Russian collusion hoax was incredibly false and damaging lie that Trump conspired with Russia to steal the election. Not a fairly obvious fact that Russia spreads propaganda, Scarborough leaves out the whole actual hoax in his retelling. He does not mention that fabricated Steele dossier, the debunked P-tape, the lies about Michael Cohen going to Prague for secret meetings with Russian officials, the fraudulent efforts to secure warrants to spy on Trump officials, the spying of Rodney Joffe, the Alpha Bank hysteria, or any other falsehoods the media and other Democrats paddled for years. Yeah, and I completely agree with this because based on the lie of the Russia collusion hoax, then they spied on the 2016 election for Trump. They tapped the Trump Tower to see what Trump was actually saying behind the scenes with his own team. So because of that precedent that they themselves set, then it allowed themselves to take advantage of the system that they themselves created. See how this is a conflict of interest? So it's crazy. And then on top of that, they made up the story, and then they have no evidence whatsoever about any of this. The Steele dossier was a nothing burger. Everything was a nothing burger. You can even look at CNN undercover journalists asking CNN reporters about the Russia collusion hoax, and they say it themselves that it's a nothing burger. So what's going on here? They're lying to you. Plain and simple, like they do all the time. And it's a sad reality that they do, but they do. Moving on to the next article, we actually have another Federalist article. We have Whistleblowers filed bold notion to intervene in Hunter Biden's lawsuit against the IRS. So, late Friday, IRS Supervisory Special Agent Gary Shipley and IRS Special Agent Joseph Ziegler filed a motion to intervene in Hunter Biden's pending civil case against the IRS, at the same time also filing a motion to dismiss Hunter's lawsuit. The move is bold, probably the first of its kind, but intervention may be the only way that whistleblowers can ensure that the Biden administration's Department of Justice doesn't throw the case. Okay, so if we look back at this, we can see that if these whistleblowers do not come forward, then the case would be lost and Hunter Biden would win. So that's why they're calling out these whistleblowers to actually have a greater chance of actually winning the case here. So in mid-September 2023, following months of bad press, Hunter Biden's legal team went on an offensive, filing a 2-count civil lawsuit against the IRS. While the IRS is named defendant in this case, the compliant focuses on the conduct of Shipley and Ziegler, seeking to hold the IRS liable for the duo allegedly unlawfully disclosing Hunter Biden's tax returns and return information. Hunter Biden's lawsuit further claims that the IRS violated the Privacy Act by failing to ensure that security and confidentiality of the reports. Hunter Biden's complaint named the IRS and not Shipley and Ziegler for a simple reason. The statutes on which the lawsuit is based do not allow individual IRS agents to be sued. That may protect Shipley and Ziegler from the expense of paying for a legal defense and potentially a monetary judgment. But it also prevents them from defending themselves against Hunter Biden's claims that they illegally disclosed his tax returns and tax information. Wait, okay, so let me get this straight. Hunter Biden does not want his tax information leaked, but then they leak Donald Trump's tax information and tax returns. So how can you get mad at the IRS for doing that? But then if it happens to Trump, Trump's just supposed to eat it. Trump's just supposed to deal with it. Oh, well, it happens to everybody. And then when it happens to you, no, this is unacceptable. I'm suing. Like, what are you talking about? This happens all the time in politics. Your tax returns get leaked, and we can see that you actually did not pay any of your taxes, so you actually owe a bunch of money. And then in Donald Trump's case, he paid all of his taxes. And then it's like, yeah, he does tax write-offs. That's what every millionaire and billionaire does, tax write-offs. If you look at the CEO of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, he doesn't pay much taxes either because of the fact that he has a lot of tax write-offs. When he does the tax write-offs, he still pays a lot in taxes, just like Elon Musk. He has a lot of tax write-offs, but he still has to pay millions and millions of dollars in taxes. So, of course, it's a thing that happens, and that's a good thing, so we can incentivize people having a business here in America. It's called tax write-offs. So if you have expenses, why are you going to pay money on top of those expenses? It just doesn't make any sense. Of course, you're going to do the tax write-off. Accordingly, on Friday, attorneys for the IRS agents filed a motion to intervene in the case. Federal rules of civil procedure allow a third party to intervene in the cases under certain circumstances, and in fact, in some circumstances, a third party has a right to intervene. In their motion, the whistleblowers claim a right to intervene, arguing that they have significant concrete interest in the outcome of this action, their careers, their reputations, and the fending off adverse collateral consequences. For instance, if the DOJ fails to zeality argue their disclosures were protected whistleblower communications, leading to a judgment against the IRS that could lead to an investigation and partial criminal prosecution by the Department of Justice and the Treasury Inspector General of Tax Administration. Further, Shepley and Ziegler argue that they have a right to intervene because it was now become apparent that the IRS, individually and through its legal counsel and the tax division, will not adequately represent their interests in this proceeding. Here, the whistleblowers stress that the IRS failed to raise fundamental and critical arguments for total dismissal of this lawsuit. Abundance of legal authority in the attached proposed a motion to dismiss. Okay, so they just want to dismiss a court case altogether, and because of the fact that the IRS did not dismiss the court case altogether, then they're not making the right judgments. Of course, this should be dismissed altogether because you should not have the right to sue IRS agents just for doing their job, just because of the fact that you're, like I said, your tax returns got leaked. Okay, well, they got leaked. What are you gonna do? Because Trump's also got leaked. So if we're gonna sue the IRS for on your behalf, are we gonna sue it on behalf of on Trump's behalf? No, we're not. We're absolutely not, because they would never let that happen. So it's just common sense here. We're not gonna let this happen. So with that being said, we do have the headlines of the week. Before we get into the headlines of the week, I actually wanted to react to this with you guys. So this is just hilarious. I can't believe that something like this would ever happen. It's so stupid that it's just funny. Just watch this. Okay, this isn't the funny part, by the way.
Shots fired! Shots fired, shots fired, shots fired across from the DOT. Get your hands behind your back!
Copy, shots fired.
I'm sorry. Sorry for what? You almost...
Okay, so this guy rams his tractor into the police car, and then now he's saying sorry. Why are you saying sorry?
I'm sorry. I hate society. Okay, well that's not the way to go about it, bro. I'm sorry. Did you get hit? No. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Tuck your knees into your chest. My life is gone.
It's such a stupid action to do, and then have to cry about it.
21. I'm 13. My car is destroyed.
Like, what is this guy doing?
Kill me! I don't want to kill you. I want to protect myself. Why are you acting like this? I got threatened, and I wanted to kill them.
Okay, so this guy said that he got threatened and he wanted to kill somebody else. So he rams his tractor into a police car.
They threatened me first.
Here is good. My aim was that way. Make sure there's everybody back
They
there.
threatened me first. I wanted to kill them. They had to pay.
Like, what is this guy talking about? Like, I don't know. I don't care what happened before this event took place. You need to control your tractor. You cannot ram your tractor into people. And just because you're saying, oh, somebody threatened you, no, you can't ram your tractor into people and use it as a weapon. It does not matter what happened. I don't care what happened. I mean, maybe if somebody's shooting at you, but maybe. But it's like, what are you doing with the tractor? Why did you think that ramming your tractor into a police officer was gonna fix any problem that you had at all? So it's just so stupid. Oh God. I can't with these people. These people are just so pathetic. And then to cry about it and just, like, what are you doing? I just don't get it. I don't get it. But with that being said, we're going to be digging into a Not the Bee article. So, you know, everyone knows the Babylon Bee, but does everybody know what Not the Bee is? Not the Bee is actually what's it called? Not the Bee is actually actual news. The Bee is a parody of what the news is, but Not the Bee is actual news. Okay, so with that being said here, President Biden says that he was vice president during the pandemic. So Barack sent me to Detroit to fix it. Yeah, this is the video here of Joe Biden claiming that he was actually vice president under COVID.
When I was vice president, things were kind of bad during the pandemic. And what happened was Barack said to me, go to Detroit and help fix it. Well, poor mayor, he spent more time with me than he ever thought he was going to have to.
It's just stupid. It's just stupid. No, you were not vice president under COVID. I know that you're a little bit senile. Yeah. I think that he is a little bit senile, but then also there's a little bit of an update here. People are now saying that he was talking about the 2010 swine flu pandemic, which nobody even called the pandemic, but there's a little bit of a problem with that. This is according to the Bee. So if you were to claim that this was the bird flu, then here's the problem. Biden is directing the above comments delivered over the weekend at Detroit Mayor Mike Dugan, the guy on the right of him, at the NAACP speech. Well, the poor mayor, he spent more time with me than he ever thought that he was going to have to. Biden said this weekend. Duggan became the mayor in 2014, and the World Health Organization says the swine flu ended on August 10, 2010. Plus, Mayor Duggan said that he didn't know Biden until he was mayor in 2014. So this just does not make much sense whatsoever. Whoops, they say. Yeah, it just does not make any sense. Joe Biden's going crazy. Joe Biden's going senile. And then the NBA legend Dave Bing was the mayor of Detroit from 2009 to 2013. So either Joe Biden is once again just making up a story to sound good in front of an audience, or he's just senile and can't remember that he spent time with another mayor instead of this current mayor to solve the swine flu in Detroit. So yeah, no, I do not think that he even knows what he's even talking about. He's just making up the stories. He's a blank suit. He's just an empty suit, and he likes to put himself into that depending on the situation and depending on where he actually is. That's all that he cares about, is just making sure that he fits into the suit that he's currently in, because he's just a politician at the end of the day. That's all he is. So with that being said, we have the media's takes.
I'm not a writer.
Okay.
Okay, so digging right in, we actually have a CNN article. We have Trump's trial reaches crescendo as tempers fray in the courtroom, according to CNN. So, as Donald Trump's first criminal trial races towards its climax, his attorneys are previewing how they will precede a jury next week to spare their client the shame of being the first ex-president to be convicted of a crime. On a wild day in court, Monday's judge, Joanne Machian, accused one disrespectful defense witness of trying to stare him down. What? Oh my goodness graciousness. Are we really doing this, CNN? You're being disrespectful. You're staring me down. Stop staring at me. Don't look at me. How old are we? Are we like 3 years old over here? The judge is really saying this. You're trying to stare me down. I'm not going to be intimidated. Like, what are we doing? Come on. At least act your age. You're like 50 years old, judge. Act your age. While the ex-president's former mixer, Michael Cohen, sensitively admitted to stealing thousands of dollars from his old boss's firm, which he admitted to stealing thousands of dollars from Donald Trump's firm. He actually was a former lawyer because he lost his lawyer license. He's what? No, that's not the only thing that he's accused of. Michael Cohen is just a bad lawyer in general. Everybody knows that he's a bad lawyer in general. He took information behind the scenes and then now he's using it in the court case as if you're allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do that because it's called client privilege. And yes, even though people are saying, well, oh, if you admit to your lawyer that you did something, then it's not client privilege. No, that's not true. You still have client privilege. Even if you were to tell your lawyer, listen, lawyer, I actually did do this behind the scenes. Like, your lawyer can't go then and say, no, well, I don't want to be his lawyer anymore because he did it. No, your lawyer is not allowed to do that. Where are you getting this information from that you think a lawyer can do that? No, a lawyer cannot do that. So that's why he's a former lawyer. He's not an active lawyer because he can't be a lawyer anymore because he lost his lawyer and license. He lost the bar license. So Trump's lawyer, Todd Blanche, argued prosecutors had failed to prove their case that Trump intended to mislead voters in 2016 by falsifying financial records to disguise a hush money payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels, and he implored Martian not to hand jurors a case so reliant on testimony from Cohen, a confessed liar. With the jury out of the remission, took several steps at getting it straight. He said, "You want me to take it out of the jury's hands and decide before it gets to the jury? That's a matter of law. This person is so not worthy of belief that it shouldn't be considered by the jury." Blanche replied, "We didn't just catch him in a lie, Your Honor. He came in here with a history of lying." And that's fully true. What's wrong with this defense? If what happened is Michael Cohen lied multiple times in former court cases, now he's lying now. He doesn't even know what's going on. Why wouldn't it get dismissed or get a retrial because of that point here? Every single person that they bring on the stand, the witnesses that they bring on the stand, they all lie. And then they end up making the case better for Trump. So it's crazy that these people are not realizing what they're doing while they're doing it. And then they're just so targeted on trying to get Trump that they're not realizing that they're actually making it even better for Trump, making an even better defense for Trump. Because at the same exact time as they do all of this, he's rising in the polls. He's going on tour in New York because he's stuck in New York. He's going to the Bronx. He's going to all these places and he's getting massive support because of them. So if he has anyone to thank for winning the election, it should be this court case and the deep state for trying to bring him down. The more they tried to bring him down, the more he rises in the polls. It always happens like this. So funny to see it though. Moving on to the next article, we actually have an MSNBC article. We have Trump's radical promise to the NRA rises the stakes in 2024. So to no one's surprise, the National Rifle Association has formally endorsed Donald Trump's 2024 candidacy. Good. I mean, imagine if the National Rifle Association endorsed Joe Biden. Joe Biden signed multiple laws restricting the Second Amendment for American citizens. So it would be amazing, or amazing in a bad way, to see that the NRA actually endorses a person like that. Joe Biden recently signed an executive order to make sure and mandate that there is a national hold on any gun that you buy throughout America. So it used to be that you can go into a store, you can get it the day after the background check clears, but now there's like a 10-day hold minimum throughout America. That's just stupid. I just can't. I guess I don't know though, because then you talk to other people and then they say, well, the 10-day ban is not in effect here or now not in effect here. It depends what you get, I guess. Also, at the same exact time, it is a executive order, so I don't know how much he actually has going on there. If you talk to different people, you just get different answers. That's what sucks about this, because you can go in and you can pick up a firearm somewhere else, but then at other places you can't do that. I don't know. I guess it all depends on which store you actually go into, but to no one's surprise, the National Rifle Association has formally endorsed Donald Trump in the 2024 candidacy, and the former president delivered the keynote address at the right-wing group's annual meeting over the weekend. Most of the Republican remarks were forgettable, but he did make an important campaign promise. "In my second term, we will roll back every Biden attack on the Second Amendment," Trump said while reading from his trusted teleprompter. What is MSNBC talking about? Oh my, MSNBC, I know for a fact you are not talking about Trump using a teleprompter. Joe Biden recently just said, "Vote for me in 2024, pause." MSNBC, you're talking about Trump using a teleprompter just because he says just because he has a speech, he's reading from the teleprompter. Okay, and so is all of your hosts. It's like, oh my god, it's pot calling the kettle black. This just mind boggles me. Every single news host in America uses a teleprompter. For me, I use it at the beginning of my show. That's about it. For the rest of my show, there's nothing on my teleprompter. For Trump, if he's reading from a speech, he reads the teleprompter. Joe Biden, if he's on camera at all, he's reading a teleprompter. But you can tell when Trump is on a teleprompter and when Trump is off of a teleprompter. Whenever he's at a rally, he's not on a teleprompter. You can tell because of the excitement in his voice. You can tell that he's just talking just to talk. Like, he's just a good speaker. But then Joe Biden, if he's in front of anyone at all, he's reading from a teleprompter or a script. That's what he's doing. So I know for a fact that MSNBC is not calling the kettle black in this case. Or I know that they are, but I hope that they shouldn't, because of the fact that their own people are doing the same exact thing, if not worse. Because Joe Biden has the words right in front of him, right on the teleprompter, and then he still gets it wrong. He stumbles his words. He says pause. Who reads the instructions out in the crowd? It just does not make any sense here. The comments came 3 months after the presumptive GOP nominee appeared at the NRA forum, at which he said, every single Biden attack on gun owners and manufacturers will be terminated on my first week back in office, perhaps my first day. That'll be great. This is just another reason to vote for Trump, because he supports the Second Amendment. And this is what people don't understand. Just because you have a firearm does not mean that the firearm is just going to shoot. Ooh, it's just going to randomly shoot everywhere. That's not what happens. It's just so stupid. It's so preposterous that people think that this is actually what guns actually do. Just because of the fact that you have a gun, it's just gonna randomly start shooting everywhere. There's a gun in the gun safe right over here. It does not just randomly shoot out of the gun safe. It just does not make any sense. It's locked away. It's stored safely. There's no bullets in the gun. It's not loaded. It's not cocked. It's just sitting there. It's not just gonna randomly shoot out. The rifle's not just gonna start shooting randomly. It's just so stupid. Oh my, even a pistol on your person, carrying a concealed carry, is not just gonna randomly shoot out and just shoot somebody and kill somebody. Just like at schools, if a police officer has a gun on them, it's just not, if there's a mass shooting, shoot, oh, all the guns just automatically start shooting. It's not what happens. It's so stupid. It's just so stupid. The NRA is a very good organization. I love the NRA. I'm thinking about actually subscribing to the NRA because of the fact that they have a really good tips on a lot of different things, and you actually get a good supply of free gifts just for subscribing. So I'm thinking about subscribing to them. But the thing is, at the same exact time, right, they don't have as much pull as what they once did in the past, and that's a sad reality. But Trump should actually, if he does get reelected, he should make the promise to actually give the NRA more power, because of the fact that they should have more pull in states like the liberal states, like in Massachusetts. It's so stupid that when you get the firearms identification card, for you to go through gun safety, for you to get the background check, you can only get certain guns. It just does not make any sense. But then if you get your license to carry, which requires 5 different people to sign off saying that you are a safe person, once you do that, then you can get whatever gun you want that's legal in Massachusetts, because some guns are not legal in Massachusetts. Like the AR-15 was actually banned in 2019, so you need to get a pre-banned 2019 AR-15 if you would like to store the AR-15. But then other guns like the Tavor X95, which is so similar to the AR-15, is not banned in Massachusetts, but then there's a restrictor on them, which is the California regulated version. So it's just so stupid. The laws that are in California, Massachusetts, also Rhode Island, if you go for your license to carry in Rhode Island, which is a small state off of Massachusetts, if you go for your license to carry in Rhode Island, you need to actually shoot in front of a cop. You need to be accepted, and you need to actually shoot really well. Once you get accepted, you can only get a gun that is that size or smaller in the future. That's it. The gun that you test on is the only gun that you can use, if not then smaller. It's just, the laws that they have is just so stupid. When you compare them to other states, it really does not solve the problem much at all. And we broke this down last week. If you do want to watch my last week's episode, we talked about this. So simple. It's so stupid. So moving on to the next article, we actually have another Daily Wire article. We have Republicans say that Biden should be tested for artificial stimulation before the debate. And I completely agree with this. this, because if you look back to back on clips of him being artificially stimulated and then him not being artificially stimulated, he's like falling asleep, he's like clapping, and he doesn't even know what's going on. And then you look at him stimulated and he's like, his eyes are wide open, he did not blink one time. It's just, he looks crazy. So moving with this article here, multiple Republicans have called for President Joe Biden to submit a drug test before debating former President Donald Trump. Advocates to drug test the president often cite his performance during the State of the Union speech earlier last year, when the 81-year-old seemed exceptionally lively compared to other public appearances. Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina was asked on Fox News Sunday Morning Features if Biden should take a drug test before the debate, to which he responded, "Why not?" The truth of the matter is that if you saw the State of the Union and watched that performance, it is surreal. There's nothing going on. There's something going on, and if we could find the truth of what that is, we're better off, Scott said. If it takes artificial stimulation to make the President of the United States perform, how often can he do that? Rep. Anna Paulina Luna of Florida also called for Biden to be drug tested ahead of the debate. We're talking about someone who has the ability to launch nukes, Luna said. She added that the questions over Biden's mental competence are the reason House Republicans are seeking audio recordings of the president's interview. Former special counsel Robert Hur, we're talking about someone who has the ability to launch nukes, Luna said. She added that questions over Biden's mental competence are the reason House Republicans are seeking audio recordings of the president's interview with former special counsel Robert Hur. Recordings that the White House has claimed exclusive privilege over. It just doesn't executive privilege over. It just does not make any sense on why they're even claiming that this is executive privilege if we already read the transcripts of the very audio. So it just doesn't make any sense here. So now they're saying, no, we want to ban the actual recording of the interview, but we're not going to actually ban the actual transcripts of the interview. And of course, when I say, oh no, the Joe Biden administration is trying to suppress the audio recordings, and then they fail. They failed because of the fact that they tried to suppress the audio recordings. Of course, it's not released yet, but at the same exact time, we have the transcripts of the audio, what the audio was. So, of course, it's a failure on their part because we all know that they're lying. We know that they're lying. It's them taking a hit for this action of them trying to hide the audio recording. So, yeah, it would be one thing if they banned it and everybody's like, okay, well, it's okay, we trust you. That's not a failure. But it's a failure on their part because they're trying to ban it. And then we all know what they're trying to do because they're trying to cover up for Joe Biden. That's a failure on their part. So it looks worse on their part than actually just releasing the audio of the interview. So that's exactly why. I just want to debate this guy, and I'm going to demand a drug test too, by the way. Trump said during a rally in Minnesota last week, I am. No, I really am. I don't want him coming into the State of the Union. He was high as a kite, Trump said. He's just a funny guy. I said, is that Joe up there? And by the end of the evening, he was exhausted, right? No, we're going to demand a drug test. North Carolina Rep. Greg Murphy, a trained surgeon, said last week that Biden must have been jacked up on something during the speech. I absolutely believe from the medical viewpoint, actually, I have a little bit of good knowledge that happened. He can't stand it. He can't stand under the lights for that long. I don't think that he can keep a concept in his brain that long, Murphy said. Yeah, no. I would like to see this debate though. This is an exciting time. This is the time that I've been waiting for right here. Joe Biden and Donald Trump debating. That's going to be hilarious. So, moving into the next Daily Wire article, we have one person dies and dozens are injured after international flight hits severe turbulence. A Singapore Airlines Boeing 777-300 ran into severe turbulence on its flight from London to Singapore on Tuesday, resulting in one death and at least 30 injuries. So, flight SQ321 was delivered to Bangkok after hitting turbulence and landed at 3:45 p.m. local time, the BBC reported. There were also 211 passengers and 18 crew aboard the aircraft. It remains unclear if the person who died was a passenger of the part of the crew. Airline tracking data showed that flight SQ321 dropped around 3,000 feet after hitting an air pocket, according to The Guardian. The airline confirmed that the incident in a statement posted to social media. Singapore Airlines offers its deep condolences to the family of the deceased, the airline said. Okay, so they say that their priority is to provide blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is what happens. It's really not in their control. This is what happens. It's really not in their control on what actually happens for the turbulence up in the air. But at the same exact time, there should be some radars, or there should be some warnings ahead of time, so the pilots don't fly right into the air pocket and then this happens. So if anything, this should result in safer air travel for all of us, because at this point in time, we should know about the weather coming up soon, especially if it's going to be life or death like this situation was. So with that being said, we're going to end off this episode here. If you do like this episode and you do want to see more, like and subscribe down below, because I do post new episodes of the show every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening, and I hope they have a great rest of your day.